Hello, Brother Monroe here. Welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts and Brother Monroe reads patch notes slash Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts news. Yes, that's right. We have heard some news. There was a period of quiet after the 9.9 update dropped, but we have now heard about what is coming in terms of the 1.4 beta, which you will not be seeing on the channel when it first comes out. The beta versions have a habit of breaking previous campaign saves, and there's usually a reset of saves at some point during the 1.4. So, purely for content creation reasons, and I don't want to disrupt ongoing campaigns, you won't be seeing 1.4 content until it is on the live branch. My usual thing is when this does come out, if you are wanting to use it, you need to go to your Steam library, right click on Steam, go to betas, and swap over to the beta branch, and that will install automatically when the beta comes out. If you don't want to go into the beta branch, make sure that's off. So, what are we getting? 1.4. It does say that the release is planned for the end of next week. Now, I'm recording this on the 1st of September. So, the end of next week would be, I guess, the 8th, 9th, or 10th of September. However, I'm going to go with later than that, because that has been the pattern, because the one they send it off to their external QA, and often it comes back with a bug, and then they have to fix that, and then at some point in September, I think, is probably a reasonable expectation to see the 1.4 beta. So what are we getting? Well, first off, in the forum post, and that's where I'm getting this from, I will include a link in the description. These will not be in at the start, and will be added later, but many new hulls and ship parts. Now, many indicates that we're getting at least 10, which is pretty cool. Mainly for cruisers of the interwar period. Thank goodness, because there's quite a dearth there. But there will also be hulls for other ship types, and for the late tech era. So we're getting late game ships, and we're getting interwar cruisers. Perfect. Great. Next, and this is kind of a theme, we are getting fixes and improvements of the ship design system. Specifically, auto design, which will become faster, means that you should be able to load up a campaign faster. Brilliant. We've refactored and optimized loading and saving process, which is going to improve performance. For example, and this is a direct quote, the time to exit the refit design window can now be 10 times faster. Now, when I'm recording and I'm refitting, and I go from the refit mode back to the fleet screen to start the refit, I cut the video because it takes quite a while to do. So that is brilliant. We have optimized the battle map process, or processes, and you will have much smoother FPS during combat. I think that means, well, actually, I can generate some combat in a minute. I think that means particularly when you're bouncing over an enemy ship, you get this big kind of lag spike. So it will be interesting to see how that actually works when we see it in the game. But really good to see that. Aiming has been made more consistent and dynamic. I just hope that means that the target lock bug has not made a return. But yeah, normally if you mouse, particularly if you've identified a ship and you mouse over it to bring up their master systems display, you can see a bit of an FPS drop. So I hope that's one of the things they've looked at. I think they probably have, seeing as they mentioned FPS drops. Next, improve the campaign AI, primarily to do with land armies. Will send major offensives more logically. That's what they say. Good. Basically, they're saying that the AI will more properly evaluate how likely they are to win, I think. So they won't launch offensives that they don't have a chance of winning. Should be good. And the AI will no longer send ships that are low on fuel into combat. It'll try and bring them back to get them fuel, which is good because you do see that more often than you used to. But it's good that they've addressed that. That's really nice to see. Ship costs are going to be rebalanced. This primarily affects campaign economy and battle AI decisioning. So, and they give an example. A battleship will now cost significantly more than a destroyer, for example. So I think they probably readjusted costs so that you know, a big scary battleship is more expensive, and you won't see the AI thinking, oh, I can just send a bunch of destroyers to go and sink it, basically. I think that's what they're talking about. Mission generation system of the campaign has also been improved, and port strike missions with the auto-resolve transport losses are mentioned, but I'm not sure in what context. Now we get to the big ones, but I'm going to circle back to the ones I've just mentioned. A lot of them were to do with performance, and I asked a question because I was curious. Is the team still planning or working to add multi-thread support? And I did actually get a reply just before I started recording. And I'm just going to give you the direct quote. Nick, the lead developer, first language is not English, so I'm not entirely sure this is exactly... I'm going to do a bit of interpreting, is all I mean. So, the answer to that question, this is mostly a Unity optimization question, as the game is already supposed to work with multi-threading, and it does, come back to that, but would need a complete refactoring of the code to make it work perfect as it theoretically could. I think what Nick is saying here is there is support for running the game on a processor with multi-threading technology, which is true, but it's an engine thing. So perhaps the version of Unity they're using for the game doesn't have automatic thread allocation. I'm not a developer. But basically, you know, the underlying game and the way they've built it means that I'm guessing it needs to do things in sequence, and the game engine doesn't automatically break out the calculations into different things, because, I mean, I could pull up my task manager right now. This is only running on one core of my CPU, the game. It doesn't use multi-cores at all, so the game really only cares about single core performance. I see a lot of posts from people on the forums and people on the Discord saying, why am I getting performance issues when I've got a you know, 5900X or something like that. You know, I've got a 16, or I've got a 16 core or a 12 core or whatever it is. Some of the new Intel chips with the efficiency cores and stuff, they've got lots of cores, and it's like, why isn't it running well? It's like, well, it's running on a single performance core. Like the rest of your CPU's sitting there doing nothing. But if they're able to optimize the game so that that's no longer an issue, because through just improvements to the game, then that would be fine. So yeah, when you do this, you get a bit of an FPS dip, especially if there's a lot of fires. So I think that's what they're talking about optimizing. But yeah, I don't think we're getting full multi-core support. Would be my interpretation, which is a little bit disappointing, but I do understand, you know, from a developer's point of view, if you can, you know, optimize the engine so that with things that are easy to do and it runs well on most systems, and yeah, okay, it doesn't run well on a unusual system that has lots of cores but they're not very fast cores, that's kind of an edge case, rather than having to rewrite the code from the ground up to support a low-level feature like that. I totally get it. As long as performance is okay, then that's fine. That's not a problem. I think people will be very happy. Right, the bigger ones. Kept you waiting long enough. The campaign can now be prolonged to 1965. That's right, 1965. So I could have played the British campaign for another 15 years. Very cool. The late game does get a little bit iffy balance-wise, so I recommend if you're going to do that, you use the balance mod, but very cool that if you're enjoying your campaign, you can keep it going for another 15 years. Excellent. Custom battles can now be set up to a date of 1950, which might mean that we're able to use Mark V guns, like Mark V guns of everything, in 1950, which would be pretty fun. That's a much requested feature. The battle AI has been improved to keep more effective firing distances and keep the formation close to the enemy, so battle AI improvements. Tooltips will no longer obstruct the interface. Huzzah! I mean, they have improved that already, but I wonder if I can get one to do it. But sometimes you see a tooltip and it'll disappear off the top of the screen or something, which is not really what you want. The next thing is in the ship designer. So I'm just going to hop out of this battle, and I'm going to hop into the designer, because although the feature isn't in yet, I can kind of talk about what it is. So currently, if you look at a gun like this 12-inch, down in the bottom right of the pop-up, and I can't show mouse over it because it disappears when I move my mouse, but you have the pen table, which has your penetration listed for AP and HE against belt and deck. And I have had a whole video, several videos actually, where I have told viewers, you guys, how to turn the numbers that you see there into the numbers that you actually care about. Because these numbers in the pen table, these are against armor quality 0. And even this ship, which I haven't upgraded at all, has an armor quality of 95%. So these numbers in the gun table do not match the actual armor thicknesses on the ship. So for new players especially, that is quite confusing. And you know, you could look at this penetration table and go, right, well, I've got a penetration at 10,000 meters at 12.7 inch, which means I should be able to go through armor similar to mine, which is 12.3 at that range. And that is not what is happening at all, because you've got to divide that 12.7 by 1.95 to get the actual thickness that it'll go through, and that's going to make it a lot less. Yeah, so what they have said they are doing, and I'm just going to read it. We are going to add a new setting which configures the armor quality in the gun penetration data. So that's the penetration table of the gun that you can see on the bottom right of the screen. You will be able to set it from default 0%, that's what it is currently, up to 200%, and I'm assuming it's in percent increments, in order to help you understand the applied penetration of your guns in the game. Fantastic. Really love that. I'm assuming it's going to be only in the designer. Well, they did say a setting. It could be something that you change in here. That's a little awkward. I'm kind of hoping that it's a little button here. That if it was me, devs, I would put a little button here that's like apply this quality to the gun tables, and you click it. That would probably be the simplest thing to do. And then if people want to, and then have a little adjuster if you want somewhere else, but I would say just a single button click. I want to use this sample quality. Fine, in my guns. Really useful. It will really help people who are trying to design ships and armor them effectively, and picking their guns and adjusting the lengths, because you will actually be able to see realistic belt and deck pens and against actual armor that you're going up against. You don't have to sit there with a calculator picking a single range to do it, to look at. You'll be able to see it all the ones. Fantastic change. Really like that. Various minor bug fixes, fair enough, and new Naval Academy missions, which are also not going to be in the first version of the beta, but I haven't played the Naval Academy in ages, so not so relevant for me. But if you're a Naval Academy person, really nice. There was one more clarification actually, because someone asked a question in the thread. Here we are. Yeah, so there were some follow-up questions. Excuse me, that's my washing machine finishing. Another addition became included in the list. This is from Nick, the lead developer. New quad guns for all techs, all calibers, and all nations. Now, I don't think I'm far enough along for a quad gun. But... oh, hello. If you have a look at the guns, say for these 14-inch guns here, I'm just going to start a new design. The 13 and the 14s don't match for this caliber, and for the 20s they don't match either. So the 14s, and this is common throughout the game, often have a different model to their corresponding triple or dual or whatever. So I think what that means is that they're going to fix that, so that the quads, the triples, the twins, and the singles all have the same model for the same mark and the same caliber for the same country. That is what I would take away from that. Really nice, consistent update. That's really good. Oh, someone asked about 8 centerline guns. Easy to add. I don't know if that means that they are going to add it, or they're just saying that is easy for them to do and they're not going to do it. Could be either, but possibly you might be able to fit 8 centerline guns, which is kind of cool. Other than that, I don't think anything else has been officially suggested. But all those changes sound really positive. We don't know if this is going to be the last update to Dreadnoughts. There was a post a while ago that basically Dreadnoughts has done really well. But I don't think it's done so well that they're thinking sequel, DLC, or anything like that. But it has done well enough that I think Game Lab's upper management have kind of removed the kind of you must have this update out by this time and then you're off. Because Nick did say that basically the team on Dreadnoughts, which is a very small team, by the way. People think this is a big game. It really isn't. If you look at the credits here, you've got quite a few names repeated, but you're talking about a team of about four or five people. Okay, there's really not a lot of people who work or worked on the game, and I think that a lot of them are being moved on to other Game Labs projects, which is fair enough. I mean, I don't know, the sales of Dreadnoughts have probably tapered off a fair bit. That's pretty normal for a single-player game like this. It's had its release. It's going to have much lower sales now, but you've got to keep these people doing work that is going to generate the company revenue in the future, so they'd probably be moved on to Ultimate General, American Revolution, or whatever the next one is. But they did say that team members who did work on Dreadnoughts can continue working on Dreadnoughts, which is company speak for, a company might say, look, Dreadnoughts is done, I don't want you working on that. It's a waste of time, waste of resources. I don't want you to working on it. Leave it alone, and the game just dies. Well, not dies, but it is left. But I think what has happened is Dreadnoughts has a really active community, a really passionate community. It's a really fun game, despite its quirks. And I think that the team has been told, look, we've moved you on to other projects, but if you want to put out a bug update, or if in your free time you have done something for the game and you want to upload it, we're not going to stop you, which is a positive step, positive noises. So that is it. That is the 1.4 beta news. If I hear anything more about it, I will update in a community post. When 1.4 actually goes live, I will do a video looking at all of the new hulls, but until then, you won't be seeing any more 1.4 beta content or anything like that from me. But if you are jumping in and you're enjoying it, let me know in the comments of this video. Let me know on my Discord, where there's plenty of places for you to talk about Dreadnoughts. Yeah, enjoy. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Bye for now.